What's going on, guys? My name is Chaos Pro, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit fun. Normally we do a Marvel Snap video every single day, but today I wanted to kind of change it up and do a brand new Marvel Rivals video, doing kind of like a tier list. Now, this is a completely just for fun. The game hasn't shown a lot of the characters yet and some of their gameplay and footage and whatnot, so we don't necessarily know what characters can or cannot do. We have seen some things, and we have, some things have still been withheld from us. The betas or the alpha is going to be coming out on the 10th of May, and I wanted to just do a pre-tier list, and in hopes of kind of seeing how far and how close off we are from when the game actually releases. This is, like I said, this is completely fun. We have very little information on the characters, but I wanted to just do this just to be fun and kind of have that Chaos prediction ahead of time. So with that being said, before we get started, if you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as I work very hard to make you guys content every single day. And I will be covering a lot more Marvel Rivals as the game is released. So right off the bat, I'm gonna just kind of get into this. We're gonna discuss basically the not the cards, but the characters and the heroes themselves. We've got tanks, we've got DPS, and we've got support-based classes. We're going to start off with the tanks on everything we know so far. Basically, I believe there are 5 tanks, there are 4 supports, and the rest are DPS. I think it's around 9 or so. Let me see here. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I know that it's 10 because Hela just got confirmed. So yeah, don't worry about the bottom of this list here on this bottom portion. We're just kind of throwing that in there. I just kind of found this random, tier list, and we're going to just have fun and kind of just, basically make it and do whatever. So right off the bat, we have Doctor Strange. I'm actually going to put Doctor Strange as a very, very good tank because I've seen that he has a shield. Now, keep in mind, like I said, I have played a lot of Overwatch, so I understand high-level top 500 strategies that they've had in the game. Because this is a 6-on-6, I'm going to say that Doctor Strange is actually going to be a very, very good tank, because just purely based on the fact that I've seen him kind of with a mobile shield, kind of like Reinhardt to some degree. That's going to be very useful. He's going to be like, I think, Sigma, or, kind of like Reinhardt in the sense that he's able to walk around. Now, there was a strategy in Overwatch called double shield meta at one point, where you essentially just stack one shield in front, and that takes in all the damage. And then as you're doing that, your opponent, your opposing tank would put their shield out. So what that does is that you're on cooldown, and you kind of just stack your shields going forward. I'm predicting that this game is going to have a double shield meta right off the bat for those that don't know. And that's what I'm going to be aiming for, especially going into this game. I'm just going to try to aim for that because that's a very good strategy. So we'll have to see how that works out. But for the most part, I can see that being a thing. So Doctor Strange, I'm definitely going to be putting that in there just because of that and the fact that he has a stun ability from what it looks like with his Eye of Agamotto ult, which to some degree, kind of like Reinhardt, right? Where he slams in the ground, kind of does that thing. It is kind of weird to see that he's a tank though, just because I would never see him as a tank. I've always considered him more of a field medic because he's a doctor. So, I mean, that's what he is in the comic books technically too. He's kind of like a superhero slash, field medic. So with that being said, we're going to get on to the next guy here. All right. So Bruce Banner, I don't know exactly where I want to place him. He kind of reminds me of a character similar to D.Va. At the same time, he reminds me of Winston. He reminds me of D.Va just because you start off, or it seems like you are a small, tiny banner, and you have to build your way up into getting, a Hulk. So he seems like a very interesting character. I'm actually going to put him as A, because I don't necessarily think, I'm not sure how functional Bruce Banner will be and how strong Bruce Banner will be. I do predict that he'll be okay. I'm just going to put him like, maybe not A. I'm going to put him at B for now. He has that ability to, what you do, it's called diving, where you dive into enemy lines and then you create space. And then I don't know how good that's going to be. But for the most part, getting in and then being able to retreat out, we don't necessarily know how strong that's going to be. So for now, I'm going to put Hulk as B. Now, I'm actually really excited to play Hulk because I do like using characters like, you know, Winston in, you know, Overwatch. I also like to use characters like Hamster, where, you know, you're just kind of going in, kind of doing your thing and then getting out. I do think he'll be cool, but we're going to have to definitely see more gameplay from him. Otherwise, I'm just putting him in at B for tank. I feel like he's just going to, you know, go in and just smash up, and that's about it. All right, so Magneto, I'm actually going to put him next to Doctor Strange. And this is for a really funny reason. I feel like no matter what, Magneto, for some odd reason, in every video game that he's ever in, usually he ends up being like a top tier somewhere, somehow. He's just like that. He's just that way. You know, Marvel vs. Capcom, he was also really good at, you know, both of the iterations of that. You have him in like Marvel Snap when the game was, you know, in its early, you know, infant stages. He was considerably just a great card because he had really good control factor. He has been off and on in the meta as a very good staple card in general, but I'm purely going off of that. The fact also is that it's, you know, it's Magneto. I'm assuming he's gonna have some kind of shield similar to Doctor Strange to some degree. And I think that these two probably are going to be the best tanks together for the most part, just purely because, I don't know, if I'm correct about it, it just seems like that's what they're going to be really good at doing. And yeah. Groot. I'm actually going to put Groot probably next to Bruce Banner, just because I think Bruce and him are going to be like one of those kind of like tanks where they have like an absurd amount of health. And they're going to be big sponges. They're going to be like kind of like a Roadhog style. I think that's what he's probably going to be aiming for. Now, I don't know what a lot of his abilities are yet. But if we can assume something, it's maybe him stretching his arms out of some sort, or grabbing, maybe putting plants up from the ground, you know, where it's making it so your opponent, you know, can't move. Maybe he's even got some healing factors to him. But for the most part, I don't necessarily know how this is going to work. I just see him more as like a tank right now that's just a big sponge. And yeah. Penny Parker, I'm actually going to put as an A. Because, honestly, she seems like she's got a big versatile kit. She seems to be somewhat quick. She does seem like probably like a diva to some degree, where, you know, you're essentially, you know, someone inside of a robot doing your thing, going in, going out. She seems like she's got a lot of like close range, you know, ways of hitting people. So I'll be really excited to see this. I'm gonna put her at A for now, just because I think she'll be pretty solid, just based on the small gameplay we've seen with her. She just seems like really cool and probably a big fan favorite pick. All right, so the next one, I actually don't know if Punisher's a tank or a DPS. I think from what I've seen, he's a huge guy in this game. Like, he's huge. Like, him and Magneto are massive. So I'm assuming he's a tank. I'm not sure. We're gonna just assume that either one that he is. I'm assuming he's gonna have a lot of machine guns. So I'm thinking he's probably either gonna be like a Bastion or a Soldier to some degree, or like a Torbjorn, where you have turrets, and if not, you have like some form of like gun power, where you're just gonna have a big machine gun of some sort or something. I mean, because, you know, Punisher is always running around with a machine gun for the most part. It's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily his weapon of choice, but it's really one of his things. That and explosives. So I'm going to put him at probably, I'm going to put him at just A tier. Like, A tier doesn't necessarily mean like they're like great. I'm just, there's the best, and then there's like probably like big picks. C tier is like characters that are just not going to be very good off the bat, because there's always characters in a game that they just immediately just out the gate are not usable, and they're still trying to find their identity. But I'm going to put him in the middle. I think he's going to be pretty, you know, pretty popular, or pretty, you know, mainly picked. Having a character like, you know, Punisher, having a gun like this in general is just really strong, and I'm assuming that's what he's going to have. All right, so next is going to be Black Panther. I think Black Panther is going to be actually pretty significantly decent. For the most part, he has his ability to get like a Bast, and I feel like this kind of reminds me of something like Hanzo's Dragon. He seems like he's going to be like a big hitter, like a brawler of some sort. So, you know, that'll be cool. I also want to see if he's got some kind of way to guard. He's going to be a DPS character, but if he guards, does he take in and collect that kinetic energy? I think that would be really cool. I think he will be probably a middle of the pack. You know what? Let me readjust this. Let me readjust. No, I think A tier is fine. We're going to have a lot of A tiers and a lot of B tiers. I think Black Panther will most likely be... You know what? No, I take that back. I think Black Panther is going to be B tier. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play him. I think he's not going to be as super strong out the bat, you know, out the gate. All right, so Magik in general seems to be one of everyone's, like, this character is just on everyone's radar. Partly because she's a sword, and partly because, you know, she's just, you know, for reasons I'd rather not say. She just seems like she's going to be a hot pick. And I feel like this is going to be on everyone. Everyone wants to wield a fire freaking sword and stuff like that. She seems to be pretty solid. I'm going to put her as the best. I think she's probably going to be in this lineup. And I think she's honestly going to be just all I've heard is people say that they want to play Magik and Loki. That's like all I ever hear is just these two characters. So I think she's just going to be entirely great. She reminds me a little bit of like Genji. And you know, I always notice that like in most games, a lot of people tend to always like really like, you know, one of those really popular kinds of characters. So next on the list is going to be Spider-Man. I actually think Spider-Man's going to be fantastic. He's probably going to be maybe more close to an A tier. He reminds me a little also like Genji, but also like Reaper. Kind of like Reaper in the sense of like his ult kind of spins up and does, you know, a multi-hit attack. His ult actually reminds me a lot of like Mei or like Reaper in the sense. Kind of like a mixture of both, where maybe you're grappling them up and maybe they're stuck in webs and stuck in place. At the same time, it shoots out like kind of like a Frost version of like a Reaper ult. I think he'll be a pretty solid character, and you'll probably see him. His mobility, though, from what it looks like, I don't know how good it's going to be, but he can get around the map. So he might actually just be the best. They might have to tone that down. Storm in general, I feel like she's going to be kind of a miss. I can't really think. I think she's probably not even going to be picked, to be honest. I feel like she's just not going to be like a really, really popular person to pick up. And people are not going to know how to play her immediately. I think, I mean, the way I would see it is it's like, maybe she makes like Hellstorms in like a little pocketed area or something. Things that like do like trickle damage or like, you know, rain forms of damage. Things like that. Maybe she has a Frost. Maybe she has like, you know, elements of like fire. Maybe she has like a little bit of everything. But I just don't feel like she's going to be really good unless she has some kind of like bop or boop type of ability where she uses wind to push the enemy or keeps the enemies, you know, stunned of mobility. I don't see her being as super strong. Scarlet Witch also, in the sense, I think she's gonna be probably like a B or a C. I feel like I feel like she's gonna be a hard hitter, but I feel like unless she's like a Moira, and like it's weird because she's like a DPS, I don't necessarily see her like. I feel like she should be a support, but she's also just in the comic book. She's just such a beast. Maybe I don't know with reality warping and stuff. I don't know how she's gonna be necessarily, but I feel like she's probably gonna be on the C or B. I'll be generous and I'll give her a B tier. I feel like she's gonna have probably like a semi good kit, but she's not gonna be like super outstanding up the bat. I'm gonna put him as B. I think Star-Lord is gonna be okay. He's probably gonna just be like Soldier 76, honestly, like next to Punisher. But I just don't see him like maybe a tracer of some sort. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. I'm gonna put him at B for now, just because I can't figure out if he's going to be an A tier or a C tier. I don't see him honestly being a great best character, just because like I don't see him in the lineup of like, I just don't see him doing a whole lot to the team, like except for maybe getting behind enemy lines of some sort. Maybe he's like going to be like a Sombra because he's got like those hacking tools. So yeah. Next on the list is going to be Iron Man. Now I actually think Iron Man's going to be pretty decent, but he's also going to be very telegraphed. I'm going to put him as A. I'm going to put him in the front of A because I kind of do want to put him as like one of the best. But I think A tier in general, he's like kind of like Pharah, where he's going to be up in the sky. But from what I remember, Pharah, Echo, characters like that, although they're not bad, they don't really have a whole lot of cover a lot of the time. And it's kind of easy to swat them out of the sky. They're going to really need map dependency and map knowledge to really know where to go around the map and to hide and take cover in high portions of the map. Keep in mind, the maps are very, what is the word I'm looking for? The maps are actually very destructible, so we don't necessarily know how that's going to be either. So I know that his ult shoots a bomb out, and that seems pretty good. If there's a character, and I think there is one where there's an orb of some sort where it pulls everyone in together, like a Zarya, his ult can be very, very, very good. It's just going to be hard to land because you'll probably see it coming a mile away. Depending on how fast or how slow they make it, it all depends. But if it takes a while to come out and you know it's going to come out, you can get out of the way for it. So we'll see how that goes. Next on the list is going to be Hela. I'm going to put Hela as probably not very good. I feel like she's going to be a slow DPS. She's probably going to be like, in my honest opinion, she's probably going to shoot daggers out. And I feel like it's either going to be like a Hanzo of some sort, or like it's going to be slow in the sense of like maybe like a Genji to some degree. I don't know, like maybe she just throws out a dagger. It's going to be pretty hard for her to hit. I don't know what her kit's going to be. We don't have a whole lot of footage on her yet, and I think she's going to just be kind of like mediocre. I do know there's a lot of people very excited for her, and I think that they're in general just really like, there's a lot of Hela fans out there from the Marvel Snap community, so we'll see how that goes. But I actually have high hopes for her. I hope she's solid, but for now I'm putting her at C tier just because, I don't know, we don't necessarily know what her kit's going to be, and I don't see her being that phenomenal. Namor. I'm actually going to say Namor seems like he can actually, it's weird. He has turrets somewhat to like Torbjorn from what it looks like some form of squid. I feel like this will be pretty decent for the most part, and he seems to be pretty strong. I'm tempted to put him in A, but I kind of feel like he's going to be a B. Like he'll be middle pack, but he will probably be picked pretty often. People like turret characters. Turret-based characters, people love them. I don't know what it is about them, but people just love them. I'm going to put him at B for now. I really, really want to put him at A, but I just don't know. I don't know yet. I'm actually going to be trying him out. I think he will be really helpful in terms of like, you know, overall gameplay. He'll be helpful. Like turrets are just annoying to deal with, but good players know how to deal with wonky AI-based stuff really easily. So we'll do that. Now we're going to go into the supports. The supports are really weird. Mantis, we don't necessarily know what her abilities are. I'm going to be honest. I really think she might be decent because of her, like, you know, she has the ability to like change people's like, you know, emotions and, you know, feelings. And I feel like she could probably do some form of healing. I think she'll probably be solid. Excuse me. I'm going to put her at A. I don't know what her abilities will be, but I think she's going to be pretty solid. I think Loki is obviously going to be a go-to staple. I don't think he's going to be the best in terms of like, people think that like he's going to be just so good, right? He has the most gameplay shown for him right now. I don't think he's going to be very solid, as good as people think he is, because people are like, oh, his ult's really good. You know, you can turn into other people. You have to also take in consideration, you have to get really decent and in order to play other characters in these hero-based games. Personally, me, I like to think of like games like hero-based games, like kind of like a Smash Bros, or a fighting game where you want to play every character to learn their weaknesses and learn their strengths. That's what I do. That's why I'm able to play such a versatile amount of characters, like in Overwatch, for instance. I like to do that so that I learn how to get myself out of bad situations, or I know how to like identify them very early on. I think Loki's gonna be solid as a healer or support in general, just because of like, you know, he has like a turret base, you know, phase mobility kind of thing. He will be decent. Everyone's gonna go for him immediately. I don't think he's gonna be the best for long term. I think he'll probably drop down to A or B because he's gonna be too hard for people to figure out. But for the most part, as of right now, I'm putting him at the best just because everyone's going to pick him. I think he's going to be more or less... He's not bad. I don't think he's going to be terrible. But in terms of versatility, he probably brings the most. I'm going to put Rocket, honestly. I'm going to put Rocket at like B to like C tier. I feel like Rocket is... I don't know what kind of heals he's going to have. Like if he's going to have some form of heal grenade, maybe like Batiste. But Rocket in general just doesn't seem like the most amazing support. Also, we don't really know how the supports are going to be in this game, so that'll be interesting. And I'm gonna put Luna. I'm gonna put Luna in as top tier. I feel like she's probably gonna be one of the best healers. Like she's gonna be like the Mercy, like / Lucio. Like she's gonna be the healer that you just really need on your team. Purely, it's either gonna be Luna or Mantis, but it's definitely gonna be one of these three for sure out of the four. So it'll be really fast decided on the healing. I can see like right now, for the most part, this is probably going to be one of the best teams. I think this is my prediction. This will be probably the best team in the game for most people. I mean, double shield meta where people are forced to fight on a shield, where you're pushing forward, using magic as her close range ability, having, you know, Spider-Man as like some form of thing. I mean, even like this in general, like I would see this as like probably pretty strong, where you have like Punisher or like, you know, having an Iron Man, something like this would be pretty, you know, pretty good. Maybe even like a Luna, like it'll be like something like this, where this going to be these five for sure. If not, it's definitely going to be like the DPS. It's going to be these are going to be like the staple tanks and like supports mixtured in with like whatever you can figure out. Like this is really what I think the game is going to come to, just from my perspective on like, I always say that I have a very good understanding of shooters very fast early on, playing them really quickly. Like I get really good at them fast because I'm very good at like assessing like what is strong and what is not, and what is like a waste of time and what is not a waste of time. And I see these as like basically like I just see that this is probably going to be the team. So with that being said, you guys, I just want to say thank you for getting to the end of the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, like this is just a you know, biased, you know, this is just a you know, type of, you know, whatever you want to call this, like a tier list. You know, we'll see how it comes out to the end, and then we'll do a redo of this and see how close was I. I'd be pretty impressed to see if this is pretty close. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple swaps in and out as time goes on. I do hope that they bring in like over 40 plus characters. I would really like to see a lot of characters in this game. You know, I know that Overwatch kind of has a very low amount. Other games have a lot of characters to pick from, and I think that Marvel has a lot of characters to pick from in their inventory, so it'll be very interesting to see how this comes out. And yeah. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.